Hello, I'm Brian Moore, Communications Director at Newport News Shipbuilding. We're continuing to adapt to new working conditions as we deal with coronavirus and our mission-critical role of building U.S. Navy ships. We're working on social distancing and supply challenges of masks and sanitizers and other supplies needed to keep shipbuilders safe and the shipyard clean. When the Centers for Disease Control changed guidance to recommend everyone wear masks for protection, Newport News Shipbuilding sail-off team stepped up to begin the important process of making masks for shipbuilders out of supplies here at the yard, such as t-shirts and other approved fabrics, while our supply chain team set out to find the suppliers to provide them. We're going to talk to Brian Cacavelli, the Vice President of Supply Chain Management, in just a moment about where we are with getting professionally made masks into the shipyard and some of the other supplies the yard needs as we continue to work in these new conditions. But first, Aaron Pritchett joins me now with an update on mask distribution in the yard and the important reminder of social distancing through it all. Aaron?
It's been an all-out team effort in the midst of this coronavirus pandemic all across this shipyard. Dedicated shipbuilders coming together to provide the necessary PPE so that we can safely and effectively continue to do our jobs.
The great thing is nobody's told us no. Everybody's had that attitude of what can we do to make it a success. From people, the vendors standing in line outside of the fabric store to get us the material, shirts being donated from Quad Med or the American Heart Walk. Just everywhere we go, everybody's responded really, really well, trying to get us what we need material-wise. So the fine team at the sail loft and X-36 and people throughout the entire community could pull together to ensure that our workforce has the needed protection in accordance with the CDC guidelines.
It's a good team effort. Everybody's looking out for everybody and helping out the best way they can so we can get it done quickly as possible.
We had nothing, so you got to start somewhere. For me as an electrician, yes, it does get repetitive, because I'm used to doing something different, being on my feet. At the end of the day, am I happy doing this? Yeah, because I know that I'm helping others and I'm sending people home safe.
I think the beauty of it is we started out with a sail-off and they had a limited amount of capacity. Very quickly, we determined that, hey, some of our tool rooms could ramp up the supply.
Oh, it's been crazy. We've been tasked with providing sewing machines, masks of all types, bottles for hand sanitizer, wipes, pretty much anything you need to fight the COVID virus.
So we have a local supplier who we ordered 25,000 masks from, and as they're making a couple thousand, they're delivering them every day or every other day, considering how many they have available. Long-term solution, we're trying to be a little more protected, a little less of the t-shirt material and double thickness.
We've got a pretty good distribution site set up right now. Tradewinds, Carrier Cafe, Applebee's along the waterfront supporting all the programs have ample supply of the cloth face coverings, as well as Building 264 and Building 28, which are two of our main tool rooms in the company. We have the logistical sites throughout the yard, as well as the Fastenal vending machines. The real nice thing about the Fastenal vending machines is we can supply green nitrile gloves, as well as the baklava welding hoods that the welding community has fire retardant that they can pull up over their face and be used as a mask as well. And even next week, we're going to get surgical masks inside of the vending machines as well, which will be instrumental to ensure that we're really, truly social distancing and get that 6 foot between each of our shipbuilders.
Today we're putting down some of the social distancing stickers to make sure that we remind all employees or even people that come into the building that aren't familiar with the space that that we're practicing the 6 foot social distancing guidelines that have been set forth, and we want to try to keep everybody safe so anybody that's visiting or coming into the shop for any services that they're doing the same thing.
There's a tremendous effort being put out there trying to ensure that we keep our shipbuilders safe, from the supply chain to your fellow shipbuilders inside the shipyard, as well as you, the shipbuilders that are building these great products. Thank you for what you do.
There's still plenty of work to be done, and you can be rest assured that shipbuilders are constantly thinking and working on new ideas so that we can be even safer during the midst of this pandemic. If you have ideas and would like to share them, please submit them to ideas@hii-nns.com. I'm Aaron Pritchett. Back to you, Brian.
All right, Aaron, thank you so much for that. Joining me now is Vice President of Supply Chain Management, Brian Cacavelli, to talk more about this. So we're going to talk to each other through WebEx. We each have a camera in our office, so we're not worrying about social distancing or masks. So Brian, the sail-off continues to do a great job of making masks, but the ultimate goal is to have suppliers supply them for us. So where are we with that?
As of today, we have about 8,000 on hand, and they're in the process of being distributed now. At this point, we have 50,000 of the professionally manufactured cloth masks on order, and they will keep flowing in at a rate of about 2,500 every other day or so. That supply line will keep flowing. We have secured orders for additional paper masks, and I'd say secondary options for professionally manufactured cloth masks that we intend to use as a backup, and then as we go forward to build a little bit of a stockpile of these.
So the supply chains are ramping up and running. Does that mean that the sail loft will no longer make masks? What about, should I make, my coworker Lisa Newbornrit in our office made masks for the whole team, and we appreciate that. But these are not going to last forever. It's not like a hard hat that, I've had the same hard hat ever since I've worked at the shipyard. But these are going to wear out. People are going to lose them. They're going to forget them because we're not used to getting masks for PPE. So how are we going to supplement that? Is the supply chain going to be reliable?
We think now that the supply chain is ramped up, they can keep up with that production rate. So really getting the supply chain to keep moving is one of the parts of the solution, and we're confident that that's happening. In terms of the sail loft, I expect we will continue to make some face coverings at the sail loft. We will gauge that based on how quickly masks flow in from our supply chain. The sail loft, as you can imagine, has a lot of work to do outside of the mask making business, so we're anxious to get them back to work too, because what they do is obviously critical to our operations here.
So Jennifer Boykin recently communicated that temperature screenings are going to be part of the future here at the shipyard. We're not there with all the details and logistics yet, but just the equipment is also another issue, correct?
Sure. So at the same time that we were pursuing masks and other PPE from the supply base, we were working to decide on what temperature monitoring equipment makes most sense for Newport News Shipbuilding, given our size, our physical setup, and frankly the number of folks that come through the gate every day. Not just any solution would work for us. So working with the environmental and health team, we have picked a couple solutions, some handheld solutions, as well as some more fixed solutions that will help scan temperatures as folks come in the gates. Those have started to arrive, and our industrial engineers and environmental health and safety teams are working through development of a process for using that equipment in an efficient way, so that we don't get a lot of people log jammed in a line, which obviously is not good when you're trying to social distance. Working through some of the specifics there.
All right, Brian, anything else you want to mention or let the shipbuilders know?
I would just say that we're using every piece of leverage we have in the supply chain, both locally, nationally, and internationally, to get our hands on as much PPE as possible. We are a large company. We've been able to get a good place in line in most cases for this PPE, while we also consider the need for healthcare workers across the world to get first access to these. So appreciate your patience, and again would encourage you to continue to pursue PPE options at home and outside of the shipyard as well, as we all go through this. Thank you.
All right, Brian, I know you're busy. Thanks so much for taking some time. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
All right. So as we work toward transitioning from 3 shifts to 2 shifts on May 4th, we know there are many questions and concerns we as shipbuilders have. Transportation, parking, daycare, to name a few. And as we just heard, temperature screening will also be part of our future routine at the shipyard. We will continue to communicate to you as we hear and see your questions and work to get you the answers that you need. So please keep watching and keep following our communication channels, from the 411 website to Facebook to our app, NNS2Go. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe. I'm Brian Moore.